DLC 1 is an important milestone for a zombies mode. It's an opportunity, a chance to leave the woes of a poor launch behind, to set the tone for the rest of the post-launch maps, or in Black Ops 6's case, to keep the foot in the pedal after a well-received launch. Citadelle des Morts, Citadelle of the Dead, is Black Ops 6's first post-launch map, taking place in the ruins of an ancient castle in Avalon. The map has been anticipated for months, with Treyarch committing to a release before the end of 2024 during the zombies reveal at CODEX. Does it live up to the hype, or are we resigned to yet another year in which zombies suffers from a false start? Before we get into it, there are some global changes to cover. Black Ops 6 Zombies launched in a healthy state, but there were a few noticeable issues regarding special enemies. Alongside the launch of Citadelle, Treyarch made several changes, including reducing the number of Mangler spawns at mid to high rounds, implementing a max cap on active Manglers in the game, and reducing the health of the arm cannon. Zombies community, rejoice. Another lingering issue was the length of max ammo rounds, which thankfully have been shortened. The max armour power-up now adds plates to the player's reserves, which is an excellent quality of life change. As Black Ops 6 is a live service experience, the game balance will fluctuate as more content is added. New problems will no doubt pop up. Not every patch will address the issues we think require attention. But from what I've seen so far, Treyarch is keeping a good eye on community concerns. Not every change will be met with enthusiasm, but I trust them to get it right in the end. Right out the gate, Citadelle des Morts nails its atmosphere. Anyone worried about facility maps can rest easy. It feels like a chaos map. The duality of science fiction and fantasy is one of the reasons why Zombie has lasted so long. There are so many different bags to pull from. I've always been drawn to the fantastical elements, so I'm a big fan of this setting. The round change stinger is an all-timer, stirring up a unique sense of dread usually found in folk horror. The two main areas, the town and the castle, blend nicely, and the map flows well with multiple fast travel spots, meaning you're never too far from where you want to be. Like Terminus and Liberty Falls, Citadelle emphasises elevation. It might not be the biggest map we've ever had in terms of area, but each location has multiple traversal opportunities that can be navigated using omni-movement. I often find myself skirting along the castle ramparts before flopping into the middle of the castle grounds. There's a good variety of combat opportunities too. The town square and castle foregrounds are expansive and open, while the castle halls and Undercroft are tight and tense. Even with omni-movement, you need to keep your head on a swivel and think 10 steps ahead. It's been a while since I've had to think about where I'm moving to before I actually go there. It's an underrated aspect of Zombies level design. Every map should have those no-go zones that reward skill and punish sloppiness. The Doppelghast, the new special enemy, is a much needed change from the Mangler. It trades power for mobility, preferring to run about like a headless chicken instead of stalking from range. Although it does have a ranged attack, it isn't annoying. You'll be safe as long as you get out of the beast's way when it charges up its needles. The speed of the Doppelghast is impressive. Quite a few times I've been minding my own business, and before I know it, in particular, it's dangerous inside the castle, blocking your path like the Margwa would in the tighter lanes of Shadows of Evil. Amalgam's return, and honestly, I'm okay with it. The lore checks out since they can transform from Doppelghasts, and we have evidence of Project Janus trafficking monsters via the Syndicate. Something on the map also makes tackling them much more enjoyable. The wonder weapons on Citadelle des Morts are 4 upgradable elemental swords: light, dark, fire and electricity. The 4-weapon format is always popular, for good reason. It's a stack list of some of the best Zombies experiences you can get your hands on. However, I'm glad Treyarch is sensible about how often this is used. It wouldn't feel special if we had 4 different wonder weapons for each and every map. The swords all look incredible, and using Black Ops 6's dedicated melee slot for a wonder weapon is a shrewd choice. Each upgraded sword can attack, parry, and has an ability tied to its element. Parrying is something I never expected to see in Zombies. It's not always practical to repel attacks, especially when you get into the higher rounds, but sending a projectile right back at an enemy is deeply satisfying. And as I teased earlier, you can even parry the Amalgam's grab attack. What a feeling. The swords aren't perfect, however. You can only hit one zombie at a time, and sometimes they do feel clunky. And I've caught myself trying to activate the ability and ended up parrying instead. It could also be difficult to notice when the ability is ready. An indicator in the HUD would help address this. It feels great when you unlock the incantations to use alongside the swords though. These are quick use spells that take up your tactical slot and can be used with any sword. Charging headfirst at a horde with your sword and using an incantation when you start to get in danger works well. You can also experiment with different combinations of spells and swords. Personally, I like using the Raven Sword, the Fire incantation. An additional tier of upgrades similar to the gauntlets in Ancient Evil could have fixed the issues with the swords. If we could unlock a sweeping attack that impacts more than one zombie at once, I'd have little to complain about, to be honest. They might not be the best elemental wonder weapons we've ever had, bad, but they're certainly not the worst. It's not just new weaponry, however. The Lightmend ammo mod focuses on healing, which is handy for support play or solo players like myself, and the Tesla Stormfield upgrade returns from Cold War. There's only one thing that excites me more than a new perk, and that's the return of an old perk that was only in 1 or 2 maps. Vulture Raid was a fantastic choice. I'm thrilled to see it make a comeback. The new style has grown on me. It does make sense that it would be a lemonade type drink, but I am still a little disappointed the original orangey red colour scheme is gone. Maybe I'm just getting old. The augment system is in a good place, but a few perks do have major augments that stand out more than others. Vulture Raid though nails the selection. I look at the effect of all 6 augments and think that would be useful. As more perks are introduced into Black Ops 6, I hope their augments follow Vulture Raid's lead. In particular, Vulture Raid solves some of the ammo issues that I experienced in later rounds on Terminus and Liberty Falls. Following the events of Terminus, the crew heads to Avalon in search of their former comrade in arms, Sergei Ravenov, who hasn't taken the fallout from the Cold War well, working for the mob and turning to alcohol. Ravenov is responsible for interrogating Professor Gabriel Kraft, the man our crew is searching for. Kraft, first introduced in Vanguard Zombies, has information on the Sentinel artefact that Richtofen is after. With Ravenov under the influence, Weaver assigns him to comms and peg-sitting duty as the crew reach the town square, ready to storm the castle formerly belonging to the Owl, Guy de Saint-Michel. After investigating and finding Kraft, the crew discovers swords created for each of his 4 bastard sons, the Raven, the Lion, the Dragon and the Stag. Maya tricks Franco, the gangster responsible for her brother's imprisonment in Terminus Island, into opening the section of the castle that he's hiding in. When he realises his mistake, Franco flees and locks the door. Wasting no time, Maya blows the door open. She avenges her brother, putting 2 bullets in Franco's legs and 1 in his head for good measure. This sequence is exclusive to Maya's character, and I love it. Incentivises players to use the dedicated crew, and also gives us a bit more meat on the bones alongside the main quest. I always enjoy character exclusive quirks, like Dr. Monty speaking to every Premise member except Richtofen at the end of Gorokrova. I also like that Maya did precisely what she said she would. Not every hero needs to have an epiphany about the cycle of revenge ending, a la The Last of Us 2. Citadelle takes place just a few days after Terminus, so it's understandable the loss of Nathan is still fresh on Maya's mind. It also leaves her future up in the air. What now? Is she along for the ride, or does she have something else in mind? Maya rejoins the crew, and they work with Kraft to discover the magic of the Citadelle and locate the Obscurus Altilium, an amulet required presumably to activate the Sentinel artefact. An ancient recording of the Owl explains that in order to secure the amulet, the guardian of it must first be defeated. On the way back down to the town, Sam warns the crew try to keep things positive as best I can, but doing that here is challenging. Many noticed something wasn't quite right with the SAM Trials machine in Citadelle Daymore. After further community investigation, Julie Nathanson, the longtime voice of Samantha Maxis, seems to have been replaced across Black Ops 6 Zombies. This coincided with reports of multiple Call of Duty Zombies character recasts due to SAG-AFTRA industrial action. Union members have been on strike since July to ensure publishers do not use generative AI to replicate their voices without consent, and that voice talent is compensated fairly whenever AI is used consensually. We've yet to receive confirmation from Treyarch/Activision or SAG-AFTRA, but at this point the reports are presumably accurate. Maxis isn't the only recast, but it's the one that hurts the most considering how long Julie has spent playing her. She is Samantha Maxis. I find it hard to believe that anyone with a creative bone in their body would choose to use generative AI over living, breathing voice talent. I hope it never gets to the stage where that becomes a reality for zombies. It can only be sure with safeguards in place to protect actors. Unfortunately, generative AI has already slipped through the cracks in menus and bundles. I think it's important to stress that this isn't one of the times where people blame Activision for something that is a Treyarch issue. If Treyarch is involved, it's at the executive level only. The Zombies team isn't in negotiations with SAG-AFTRA over contracts. It's an impossible predicament for the Zombies team, and I don't blame them for the recasts. Can't imagine how some of them feel, especially the narrative team. Every department will feel the impact of something like this though. With all the work that's gone into Black Ops 6, the story preparation, script writing, and development of assets and maps, scrapping everything would be impossible. The only options were to butcher the story and give us random new characters out of the blue, or recast the current ones. Activision isn't letting Zombies sit idly by until the strike is over. I don't like it, and I doubt the Zombies team do either. Just look at the relationship between the voice actors and Craig Houston, for instance.
Pretty cool to experience myself, I'll just say that.
Julie, it's always a pleasure to work with you and to talk to you. I do consider you not only one of my favourite collaborators, but also a very, very good friend. Don't you dare start crying. Thank you so much for everything you've done over the years for this amazing experience.
Thank you. I stopped myself from crying. The feeling is mutual.
Seriously, thank you to
Yeah.
you created this world.
These guys. It's a whole team. It's a whole
No,
team.
but each of us have our own little craziness. All of them are in your head.
Yeah,
which is terrifying.
You said that to me when we
Layers.
the last
Somebody
time. You said, we are all living inside your head.
Yeah.
We all occupy rental space in there.
Terrifying.
There's nothing you can do about it.
It's terrifying.
I really hope when the strike is over, all the previous voice actors return. Treyarch can retroactively add their voices to each map. That's not guaranteed though. Even if a deal is reached, Activision may avoid working with union-backed voice actors in the future to avoid another scenario like this. Capcom reportedly avoid hiring union actors for this very reason. I hope internally Treyarch rally against dropping long-running voice actors, but I'm not sure the bigwigs give two shits about loyalty to anything but the dollar. I'm not going to judge anyone on how they handle this, whether you decide to step away or continue playing zombies as usual. Unfortunately, the Call of Duty machine is bigger than any of us. Most players either don't know or don't care about voice actor recasts. They just want to play Call of Duty with their mates at the end of the day. I'm not sure anything we do can make a difference, but we should still try. I implore you to sign the SAG-AFTRA petition and check out Milo's video for more detailed coverage of the situation. It's a bummer to have to spend so much time on this when I've loved Black Ops 6 Zombies so far. It's an important subject, and one that is only going to become more common across the industry, as more publishers feel emboldened to push generative AI over human creatives. I stand in solidarity with all the voice actors on strike, and I hope for a quick resolution. I'm also on the side of pushing back against the use of generative AI in Call of Duty, video games, and beyond.
Let's recap a bit, shall we?
On the way back to town, Sam warns the crew that Richtofen has been in contact with Kraft. The Professor has not been honest with him. However, before they can worry about that, they must battle with the Guardian of the Amulet. After defeating the Colossus, the crew secures the relic and rushes to Kraft, who's under attack by the undead. Unfortunately, they are too late. Fatally wounded, Kraft mentions a nearby excavation site and warns the Sentinel artifact could consume the crew. As he bleeds out, he reveals he is the father of Edward Richtofen, and pleads with Weaver not to kill him. The ending worked for me. It humanises Richtofen and casts further doubt over the Terminus crew's revenge mission. Of course, the crew is under no obligation to listen to Kraft. They just met him. You can tell from Weaver's reaction that he may have been having second thoughts. Kraft mentions during the quest that the fire changed Richtofen. Does Weaver feel responsible for creating the monster that imprisoned him? It seems like it might be weighing in his mind. There are also several hints to a fan favourite map. I wouldn't assume we're getting an Origins remake, but the connections are there for all to see. Our visit to the excavation site in Avalon may evoke some memories of Ether. If it is meant to be the same dig site, what does it look like in a universe where Origins, as we know it, never takes place? Citadelle gave us several valuable answers, but the pile of questions keeps growing, and long may it continue. The mystery is what drives the zombie storyline. I hope Treyarch continue to keep us guessing, theorising, and discussing. The Terminus main quest returns some of the difficulty to Zombies Easter eggs. I'm happy to say Citadelle takes another step forward, or back depending on how you look at it. There wasn't much hand-holding, and several steps left players stumped. The weapon inspection step is the kind of thing I like to see. It challenges players to think outside the box. Although the quest is strong, it does feel a little short, like it's missing one or two steps to extend the length. The downside of 4 Wonder Weapon maps is that upgrading each weapon is usually part of the quest, reducing the number of unique steps. So far in Black Ops 6, the steps where you solve puzzles and kill zombies are solid. We just need a few in-between steps, where you have to flip the round for something to happen, or interact with the map in a particular way to start the next step. For example, to find Kraft, you only need to interact with his cell door. A small addition to the quest where you need to unlock the hatch would have extended it. Find a bottle of alcohol, throw it at Ravenov's window, and he gives you the key. Something like that. In a previous video, I looked at the main quests for Forsaken and Revelations to show how thin the line can be when creating a quest step that is cryptic, challenging, and enjoyable to repeat. A bit of nonsense is acceptable, as long as it's easily repeatable. The Raven Sword is a perfect example of this. I couldn't tell you how to work out the combination of the 2 dials. However, thanks to guides created by the community, I can complete the step hassle-free, and so can anyone. Someone else did the hard work, so we can all appreciate it. Hard to discover, easy to replicate. The reason I like the Raven Sword quest will be the reason someone else despises it though. Some people prefer Cold War's style of quest over Black Ops 3's, and vice versa. While I like these kinds of steps, I don't want the entire quest to have them. That's Revelations territory. Easter egg theory is complicated. It's a balance. And so far in Black Ops 6, Treyarch has done well to keep all 3 plates spinning. There's still potential to increase challenge and crypticness, but I'm satisfied for now. Patient 13 boss fight in Terminus was always going to be a hard act to follow. The Guardian gives it a good run for its money. The arena is fire, and the boss is more aggressive than Patient 13. There isn't much to the fight mechanics wise, but with nowhere to take a breather, it's a full-on assault. Variety in boss fights keeps things interesting, and so far we've had 3 unique final encounters in Black Ops 6. I'm sure there's many more different types of bosses to come. The elephant in the corner of the room gets louder and louder. For the first time in Dark Ether, we have heard the voice of the one and only Alistair Rhodes. Still don't know if this is the same Alistair Rhodes from Black Ops 4's Chaos. There are a few conflicting dates, but still no smoking gun either way. However, the evidence is mounting that regardless of which Rhodes we're dealing with, this is something of substance, not a quick hit of nostalgia. The Rhodes audio log has him in France, negotiating an excavation.
I'd like to begin by expressing my gratitude for your eagerness, Sir Archibald.
Nonsense, old boy. I won't hear a word of it. I'd be a fool and a rank amateur to pass on an opportunity to collaborate. Your research is so thorough, not to mention groundbreaking.
Yes. Well, your endeavor is integral to my work, and we will both reap the benefits. Now, it's of vital importance that you don't let the reputation of the place color your senses.
Yes, I've been conducting inquiries as to the procurement of local workers, but thus far it's all been coming up a little empty. As far as I can tell, no one wants a damn thing to do with the place. If you ask me, the whole thing smacks of hysteria, which, between us, could be quite the positive. What? Makes it more likely the site's not been looted already.
Indeed. I'll shoulder the cost for you to recruit outside the area. Some sturdy ruffians is what's called for. You'll need the muscle. Given the amount I'm shelling out, I expect you to run a tight ship, Sir Archibald. This excavation is to be efficient, targeted, discreet, and do not return without the artifact in hand.
You have no fear. I wouldn't dream of it. We Fotherington Smythes are a tenacious lot once we set our minds to something.
Good man. I wish you luck on your travels. I imagine we'll be much changed the next time we see one another. Now, another spot of port.
Rather.
There's also an audio log from Kraft where he gets into more detail about his personal hero.
Where to begin? No, I'm not talking about von Liszt or any of that in Leipzig with Franz. Before all of that, back to the kernel of the curiosity that led me to all this. I was a young boy of no more than 10. It was fall. Ghent, a quaint city along the River Lyer in Belgium, was hosting the World's Fair. The leaves dancing their way down to the water, the smell of crustaceans filling the air. It was magical. But it wasn't only the setting that drew me in. It was a reading of Francis Barrett's De Magus that set its hook in me. The power, the mystery contained in that book, the demonstrations, the commingling of physics, psychology, the normal and paranormal. Well, I had been summoned, touched by something that I couldn't explain but felt to the core of my being. From that day in Ghent, I knew that this world was but one slice of the realities we are all part of. There is no end to what is beyond this plane of existence, no end to where we can go or what we can be. It was late when my mother found me badgering the man who performs the reading with question after question. He smiled at her and introduced himself. Alistair Rhodes. Mother thanked him and remarked how she was frightened that she may have lost me. I didn't have the heart to tell her that she actually had.
Chaos iconography is everywhere in Citadel. Symbols on the wall for the Easter egg are the same alchemical symbols found across Chaos maps. The symbol of Ra and Pegasus' horseshoe, it has to be intentional. I've always believed that Chaos's introduction in Black Ops 4 was to hook players in the new story before saying farewell to Ether, so that when Ether ended, we'd already be invested in Chaos, wouldn't automatically reject anything new that wasn't Ether. Obviously it didn't turn out that way, but Chaos may still get its day. As someone who enjoyed what we got out of Black Ops 4, it's exciting. Given how adamant Craig Houston and Jason Blundell were that Chaos and Ether are not related, two theories in particular hold my interest. The singular universe that Samantha and Eddie walk into at the end of Tag Their Totem is the universe of the Chaos story. Or, The events of Tagder Toten result in the collapse of the multiverse, and Chaos gets swallowed into the new universe alongside remnants of the Ether story. Samantha and Eddie then walk into this universe. Something else to consider: the golem sits in stone until we awaken it with the Guardian Key. If we are in the universe with the same Alistair Rhodes as Black Ops 4, could we undo the ending of Ancient Evil? Could we save Alistair Rhodes? Citadelle Lamar also touches on the themes of family and fatherhood, particularly Noel and his bastard sons. It's evident he had no real love for his offspring, considering them tools until the very end. Even in his message from beyond the grave, he never mentions any names and just generically says, "You're my favourite."
Greetings, my bastards. I knew you would find me. You were always my favourite. Was your arrival here heralded by your brother's corpses? Well done. A fitting end for wretches such as they.
It's a notable contrast to Kraft, who uses his final moments to plead with Weaver not to kill Eddie. Despite what he's done, Kraft still loves him and believes there is good in him. The story of Gabriel Kraft is a tragedy. Between him, Richtofen, Max's, Ravenov, and the Terminus crew, it's a miserable time to be a character in zombies. Not that Ether was filled with sunshine and rainbows, but I hope we share a few moments of hope in the future. Not every character deserves a miserable fate. Maybe I'm just saying that because of how attached I am to everyone. We have our 4 playable characters, but at this point, the supporting cast also feels like part of the crew. Strauss becoming Raptor 1's co-pilot is hilarious. Heck continues to piss off every character with his wit and arrogance, and Ravenov has entered his goth phase. Even if they aren't key players, I'm glad they're along for the ride. Much as I enjoyed the revelation of the ending cutscene, the impact of it was slightly anticlimactic for me. I'd already encountered the piece of intel where Kraft discusses adopting Eddie from an orphanage. I'm glad most seem to have experienced the quest first, but I'm a fiend for intel. In the future it'd be great if sensitive intel was hidden until after completing the main quest. Although the lore on this map was incredible, I just wish we had more of it. I do wonder if this is related to the ongoing issues with voice actors, or if Treyarch is avoiding intel intentionally after receiving feedback from some players during Cold War. I hope it's not the latter. Black Ops 6 is doing a fantastic job with in-game storytelling, so boosting the number of intel shouldn't upset anyone. It's just more sprinkles on top of a fully baked cake. There are so many characters, artifacts, locations and plotlines in the Dark Ether saga now that it's a shame we aren't getting more. We've reached the point that 4 to 6 round base maps might not be enough. Could really do with a new comic series or more frequent intel drops. People are interested in the story again, and I hope Treyarch doesn't drop the ball. The vermin are still too powerful. They're fine in the lore and special rounds, but when they start to spawn in with standard zombies, the combo of their long-range leap attack and the amount of damage they deal seems a bit uneven. After having vermin in all 3 Black Ops 6 maps, I hope they're swapped out in DLC 2 for dogs or a new enemy type. Like the Manglers, I think they need a bit of a timeout. As someone enjoying multiplayer a lot this year, I need the ability to separate the Zombies HUD and multiplayer HUD. I'm still hopeful this has been worked on, and it just needs a little extra time in the oven, because a lot of people are asking for it. I like that the Zombies exclusive events offer valuable rewards like Gobblegums. We've come a long way since face paints. That said, I don't want to see the changes to Gobblegums become the standard way the system works. I'm hopeful once the event ends, it reverts back to normal. Spawning in with 3 specific gums at once makes the player far too powerful. It's hard not to compare Citadelle Lamar to Der Eisendrache. They're both DLC 1 maps set in medieval castles and feature 4 elemental wonder weapons. DE is one of the greatest maps ever. I think Citadelle stands strong on its own, reinforcing Black Ops 6 Zombies as a highly competent mode that could easily receive support for multiple years. It throws some supernatural flair into the mix with a quest that feels closer to the Black Ops 3 and 4 era of zombies, combining old and new to create a thoroughly enjoyable experience. The Dark Ether story blazes onwards with chaos and remnants of ether ominously lingering in the background. Despite a promising outlook, the future of BO6 Zombies is unknown. Season 2 is unlikely to deliver a round-based map, so what does Treyarch have in store for us? And with the developing news of the voice actor strike impacting zombies, will more characters suffer recasts? Black Ops 6 Zombies has all the potential in the world. Citadelle Lamar is an example of that, but we know better than to get our hopes up. The ethereal rollercoaster of Call of Duty Zombies continues at a dizzying pace. You'd think after 15 plus years we'd be used to the spin.